Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So we're back again with another glorious Primarch returning video, and today we're looking at Angron, the most angriest of all the Primarchs. Of course, his name is Angron, of course he's going to be angry. So we're going to be looking at why Angron should be returning, if he returns, then how he could possibly return, what circumstances should Angron come back as, what would happen if Angron come back in the 8th edition storyline. So let's jump in and let's get started. So Angron was the Primarch of the 12th Legion, known as the World Eaters. They're probably one of the most vicious legions in the Great Crusade. Probably, well, you could really argue that the Night Lords were a bit more brutal, but their warfare was definitely different than the way the World Eaters did their warfare. Theirs was more like jumping out the shadows and scaring you, where the World Eaters was like, I'm just going to charge you with twin axes and rip you apart kind of tactics. That's how they rolled. Now, the beginnings of Angron is actually quite different to the rest of his brothers. See, the rest of his brothers were basically warlords of their system, whereas Angron was basically a slave on his planet. He was found at a young age by a slaver who basically, like I said, enslaved him. They put something called the nails into his head, which bites down into your brain and causes you to go like batshit insane crazy and just like full-on bloodlust. And he was basically used as like a gladiator, just thrown into the pits to the amusement of the ruling society. The planet he was on was basically ruled by higher-ups, and they just looked down on it. It was basically like Rome, where, you know, if you had power, you had it all, and if you didn't, you were basically just a peasant, and that was it. One thing led to the another. Angron and all the slaves rebelled. This is basically like Spartacus in space, and Angron was leading this massive, huge slave army to like conquer all the hierarchy of the planet. And the Emperor came at this time, and he saw what Angron was doing, and he basically said, like, you know, Angron, even though he's a Primarch, he couldn't win this battle. And instead of like intervening like any good dad would do, and like maybe like sending some custodians down to help him, or, you know, maybe some space marines or something, he basically like got hold of Angron, like teleported him away from the battle, and like just saved Angron. Then Angron had to watch like all his friends and like the people who he's been fighting with just get absolutely ripped apart by this like hierarchy army and ripped apart. And Angron was like, what in the living hell? Why do this to me? I should have died with my brother. So his relationship probably wasn't the best with the Emperor right from the start of his interaction with his newly found father. Like, his tale is very sad straight from the get-go. Like, even his legion didn't really respect him because the way he was with the nails and stuff. Like, once those nails bite into your brain, you just lose all sense of like what's going on. All you see is red. You just want to charge and kill things. On the battlefield, he basically just went ahead and left his sons to do whatever. They were all getting butchered and stuff like that. Like, there was some instances in some books, like when there's dying world eaters, and they're like, just, you know, piss on Angron's grave for me and stuff like that. They say, and, you know, they didn't really have that respect for Angron like the other legionaries had for their fathers from their legion. Skip forward a little bit. Lorgar comes in. He helps him. Lorgar basically sees that Angron is going to die. The nails are basically killing him bit by bit. So instead, he basically works his magic, and Angron ascends to Demonhood. Angron is the first Primarch to ascend to Demonhood, and of course, there's only one route this chap is taken. That's skulls for the Skull Throne. He's fully Khorne. He is a bloodthirster Primarch, and oh boy, if we get a model for this guy, it is going to be absolutely immense. I'm probably going to just gush all over the place, because it is going to be probably the best demon/Primarch model we're ever going to see. Now, Angron was at the Siege of Terra, but we don't know really what happened with him at the Siege of Terra. We know we had like a little stare down with Sanguinius, who was up on the walls and stuff, but that's really all we know from like the old lore. I'm personally hoping that Sanguinius fights Angron at the Siege of Terra, because it's kind of like poetic, like the angel versus the demon, if that makes sense. Like, Sanguinius being this majestic, you know, gorgeous looking angel, and you have Angron, who's this bloodthirsty demon, you know, good versus bad, let's say, air quotes, who's good and who's bad. And I think it'll just be an epic duel, but I don't think that's really going to happen because Sanguinius is going to face Carbunda, and, well, it could happen, but I think it may take some magic away from the Carbunda fight if he fights Angron and defeats Angron. It's like, oh, you just defeated your brother Primarch, who's a demon. Now here's another demonic bloodthirster. Let's kill him as well. So I'm not really sure, but I think it would be poetic justice if those two actually fought each other. We do know that, of course, he survived the Siege of Terra. Apparently, if I remember right, he was like pulled back onto his ship because he was like such full-on bloodlust and stuff like that. And of course, then they went into the Eye of Terror, and that's it. That is his action in the Horus Heresy over. Now, technically, Angron did return. And this was the first war of Armageddon. Now, we're going to speak about Armageddon in a bit, because I think this is going to be a big bit of Angron coming back into the 8th edition. But he was at the first war of Armageddon, and the Grey Knights, Space Wolves, you know, all the Imperial Guards was stuff there. And he basically nearly wiped out like a full brotherhood of Grey Knights. I think there was like 14 Grey Knights that survived the battle with Angron. Hyperon, which is a really cool thing, who is actually I'm not gonna go into there, but Eisenhorn, Reed Ravenor, and you'll make some connections very, very soon. And yeah, he basically was defeated and he was banished. One of the bad things is when you become a Demon Primarch is that you're limited to what you can do in real space. Like, you can basically be banished back into the warp and stuff. It's not like, you know, you have ultimate power. There is limitations to what you can do since you've sold your soul to the so-called Chaos Gods. Now, at the start of the Great Rift, which split the galaxy in twain, Angron nearly came back into reality, and this is where I think his fate is interacted with the planet of Armageddon, because there was a ritual to summon him back to Armageddon. That ritual was stopped by the Salamanders, and he wasn't brought back, but I think what's interesting is that I think his fate is attached to Armageddon. Since that's the place where he was banished, that is the place where he has to come back. Now, I think they're going to do the ritual again, and I think they're going to be successful. Now, they're going to be successful because I think Ghazghkull Thraka is going to turn up somewhere. And if you don't know by now, Armageddon is Ullanor. It was just renamed, so the Orcs have a massive drive to go to Armageddon to get Armageddon back, and with Ghazghkull coming back, leading probably one of the biggest wars there's ever been, and hopefully he's going to be Primarch Ghazghkull, let's say. I really see him giving the Imperial defenses all the trouble, and then chaos sneak in like under the door, like when the Imperium's heads turned, they begin their little dabble of ritual, and then the planet basically starts raining blood, let's say, and then Angron returns. And I'm personally hoping that the Imperium forces on Armageddon get completely wiped out, absolutely massacred from the Orcs, and then you have Angron and his demons versus Ghazghkull and his boys. I think that would be the most epic of epic showdowns. You have, well, let's say Ghazghkull is a Primarch. He's a big boy now. You've got Angron in his demonic form. Who in the Emperor's name is gonna win out of that? Just visualizing that and seeing demons and, you know, world eaters, let's say, berserkers and stuff going against orcs, and, you know, it's raining blood, and you've got like all the boys going in, all the dackers shooting. You've got this massive hulk of a Primarch Ghazghkull going toe to toe with Angron. You've got basically the most angriest guy in the galaxy versus the most biggest and bestest guy in the galaxy. I think that duel is just going to be absolutely amazing and epic. Now, the hard thing for me, like when I always think about this, is that who would win? Because I love Ghazghkull. I think he is just a beast within himself, and then Angron in his demonic form is a beast within himself. The only thing that can really banish Angron and like take him back are Grey Knights. I don't think Ghazghkull would have the power to defeat the chaos and, you know, all the demons, because you basically have an endless tide of demons once this ritual starts, and they like summon the portals and stuff like that. I don't think he can really go toe to toe. I'm hoping that maybe something happens, like there's like a warp storm, and then Angron gets like blown across the galaxy, or something, like with a bunch of demons, and then he lands on another planet. So, you know, maybe it's like, I'll see you again for another showdown, that kind of thing with Ghazghkull, and then Angron basically just starts crusading again, but, you know, blood for the blood god, and just starts ripping sectors apart and just taking skulls and butchering anything he comes across. Because let's be honest, when Angron comes back, if he comes back, let's say, he's not going to be doing stuff like Magnus is doing, planning. He's not going to be doing stuff like Mortarian's doing and just going out and, you know, like planning like raids on Ultramar and stuff like that to try and get back at Guilliman. He's just there to kill. He's there to kill, take skulls, make people and planets bleed, and just do stuff for the Blood God. Skulls for the Skullfront at the end of the day. He's just there to kill. That is his objective. Just go there and purge everything you come across. And like I said, I think the only thing that could really go toe-to-toe with him are the Grey Knights. Basically, the Demon Hunter guys. You know, they've done it before. They can obviously do it again. When Guilliman, well, let's say if Guilliman comes across him, I don't think Guilliman stands a chance, to be completely fair. Even with the Emperor's sword and stuff, maybe you could probably stand against him if you give him that plot armor. But, you know, me being the Imperium fanboy, I think Guilliman's just going to get smacked aside of Angron. So I'd rather keep Guilliman out of this fight and just do like maybe like a campaign focused on the Grey Knights, going after demonic Angron, tracking him down, fighting all the demons, and then taking a war to him. I think a really cool campaign around that could work, and you know, maybe you can have some new models, some new Grey Knight like captains, or you know, HQ models and stuff. I know we've got Voldus, which is an awesome model, but you know, I'm not going to say no to more awesome Grey Knight models at the end of the day. And like I said at the start of the video about an Angron model, if they just imagine, just sit back with me, close your eyes, and just drift off into the echo of your mind, and just picture Angron in his demonic form, with axes, blood, teeth, claws, you know, his like nails drifting all the way down his back. Oh, my holy Emperor of Mankind. How amazing would that model be? I'd probably maybe tempted to start a Chaos Demonic army if we got a Demonic Primarch Angron. Forgive me, brothers, I am lost. But yeah, that model would be absolutely just mind-blowingly just awesome. Alright chaps, thanks for watching the video. That is me done for another glorious Return of the Primarch. As always, post below what you want for the next Primarch video, and as always, post below your theories on how you think Angron could return, and why he should return, and what would happen if Angron returned. I love reading it all, interacting with it all, and everything like that. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I shall see you all very, very soon. See you now, and bye-bye.